So let's talk about the third eye. The first thing that I want to say is if you are here right now, it's because this process of opening up this center has already started. Like you're already on this path. You wouldn't be attracted to this if you weren't. So you're already doing the work. You're probably already doing meditation. And even if you're not, the fact that you're curious, that energetic center has already started to open. So I have notes. So if you guys see me looking over here, it's because I didn't want to forget anything. The other thing that I want to mention before we even really get started is that this isn't magical. It's meaning it's not something ethereal that only certain people have. We all have an energetic electrical system. We have a nervous system. And the third eye is really a part of that. I mean, when a frog dies, they've done experiments on this, or when any animal dies, they can get them to move with electricity. That's curious. If we're just like flesh and bone and minerals, like we wouldn't be able to do this. We are moved by electricity. There's a current that's moving through us. And if you are on an awakening journey, you probably already know this, but this energy, this electricity moves up your spine. And if you're experiencing third eye awakening stuff, you're on the right track, and it's starting to move up to the crown center where we really get in touch with the divine. So the third eye is obviously right beneath the crown center. And if you think of it as like the information comes in through the crown, it's like a big funnel, and then we understand it at the third eye. That's kind of like the filter through which we can apply it in our lives. And the reason why I say it's not magical is because we actually have these energy centers in our bodies that are in perfect alignment with our glands. We have a glandular system that filters out hormones, that puts hormones into our bodies and even gets rid of toxins. And our chakras they do kind of the same thing. They transmit energy and they take energy in, and they hopefully, if they're functioning well, they know how to process this energy. And that's what our glands do. They process and they excrete hormones. And it's just so interesting to me, like really blows my mind that the yogis thousands of years ago knew exactly where these glands were located and really what they did. Like they have the power center, which is your solar plexus center. And that's where, like, that's located right near a gland that excretes the hormones that make us feel the adrenaline. That's the word that I'm looking for. That makes us feel like we have to take action in the world. And our thymus gland, it's not the thymus, I can't think of the name of it, but there's a gland right in our chest that makes us feel love and produces oxytocin. How in the world did they know that? It's mind-blowing. And the yogis have all of these techniques to move this energy upwards. And when it gets to the third eye, that's when we really become fifth dimensional beings, like Christ-like beings. If you think of Christ, and I'm using him as a metaphor for lack of someone else I can think of that really had no blocks in the third eye, super wide open third eye. So just, if you're not into Christ, that's fine. Just think of the metaphor and what you do know about him. He was obviously a great visionary and really could see the potential, the infinite potential in man, and really didn't see anything else. The biggest reason we want to awaken our third eye as spiritual people on this journey is because it gets rid of the illusion that we're separate and that there is a dualistic world, and it helps us to see the truth, which is there is no good, bad, evil, righteous. There's none of that. We're all just souls, and we're all doing our best to live on this earth with all this stuff that goes on, and everything that we're doing is in an attempt to live our best lives, to get love, to make ourselves safe. Like nobody actually wants to hurt anybody. And Jesus understood this. Like there's an illness and a dis-ease in people who are harming people. If your third eye is open, all you're thinking of is, I want to be empowered. I want to bring my authentic self to the world so I can help other people to be empowered too. That's the goal. And we become united in that goal. And the coolest thing ever, I get really excited about this part, is when this is open, you start to realize your purpose. It becomes really clear what you're meant to do on this planet. So super awesome stuff can occur when it starts to open. I wrote down benefits. I also wrote down some tricky stuff, but we'll talk about the actual pineal gland first. And the pineal gland, part of the endocrine system that secretes the hormone melatonin. That's all it does. It synthesizes the hormone melatonin from serotonin. So serotonin is in your belly. And this is really, really super, super interesting. I could geek out on the science like literally all day, but I'm going to try to be brief. In your sacral chakra, which is right beneath your belly button, that's like your gut and where your gut biome lives. And serotonin is created mostly in the gut. Serotonin wakes us up. It lifts up our mood, makes us feel good. And that energy center is kind of in alignment with serotonin. And it is in opposition to the third eye. If you look at the energy centers, there's the crown and then the third eye. And at the bottom, there's the root and the sacral center. So they're opposites. And one wakes us up, the gut, the belly, and the other one kind of eases us into sleep with melatonin. And it's our pineal gland that's all it does. That's what the function of the pineal gland is, although they think it has something to do with your reproduction, like, and really when teenage boys specifically like take fake melatonin, they can actually mess up their growth and stuff. So they're looking into that. But what they know for sure is that the pineal gland puts us to sleep and produces melatonin. But when we are super relaxed and really in that place of knowing that we're safe, the melatonin actually kind of transmutes into extremely powerful hormones and chemicals like DMT and these other chemicals that I can't think of the names of right now, forgive me, but that produce light in our brains, like literally the same chemical that lights up the jellyfish in the ocean and these bioluminescent animals, that's in us. And it's in our third eye. And that's why people see visions and they see, sparks of light. So if you're like experiencing that in the middle of the night, like there are some fireworks going on, that's a very real biochemical thing, not your imagination. That is real. And if you're getting past the magic and the metaphysics, what you're doing when you're really focusing on this area, you're increasing the blood flow and circulation to that gland that as we age and just in our society with fluoride in our water and all the different heavy metals, it becomes calcified. And when we increase circulation and blood flow, and even through meditation, sometimes we can cause it to vibrate, we start to decalcify it and we start to wake up. So the third eye is amazing. That's the place that is activated when people say, oh, she's woke, or she's waking up, or she really is wise. That is kind of the science behind that. And an interesting thing I wrote here, even the Vatican has a statue of a pine cone, and which is the shape of the pineal gland. Nobody ever explains it, but what it is they know the power behind this. They know that the pineal gland helps us to be completely connected to spirit and see beyond illusion and really understand that oneness. And it's also on top of the scepter that the Pope uses. Like what? And it's at the top of the pyramid on the dollar bill, which you guys I'm sure have noticed. And there's this whole, conspiracy theory of people in the Illuminati using all of these mystical rituals and stuff to awaken the third eye so they can understand like how to manipulate people. And there is a dark side to everything. I mean, you can use it for good or bad, but obviously if you're here, I know that you're like wanting to open up and awaken for good reasons. So the good stuff, shifting your perception. Something that I've noticed as my third eye has been awakening is I can't be lied to. I can't be duped. I just know when somebody is being deceptive, or like it's not so much that I am like a super skeptical, suspicious person. It's just that I can tell this isn't truth. This isn't right. And I just know in my body. So not only will you know on the macro, like you'll understand, this food isn't good for me or whatever, you'll know in your life specific things like, I can't talk to this person anymore. They don't bring good things to me. You'll just know things. The key is trusting that, because we all have a third eye, and especially if you're here, it's starting to awaken. If you don't trust it,
can we interrupt?
I'd rather just kind of get through this and then do.
Okay, I just had a question on, does it affect your food too? Like all of a sudden when your third eye is awakening, does your food appetite change?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I actually have that written down, Lynn. Yeah. Okay. So, well, you just recognize what's good for you. And the third eye, if you think of like the breath and the energy centers as spiritual centers, and the breath as being spirit, it is spiritual light that's coming through this. And spirit only wants what's best for you. It only wants what's going to uplift all of life. So you can also think of spirit as life itself, and it wants to support life. So it's not going to tolerate you eating junk food anymore. Like if you're starting to notice, I just can't eat like this, I just can't tolerate it. I had an experience, as some of you know, the other day I had Burger King and I suffered for like 2 days. I literally cannot eat like that anymore. My body's like, nope, it's just not okay anymore. So yeah, definitely your food choices might change. And you know, of course, like you're human, so it's not indicative that your third eye is closing. If you slip up, you're just human. So yeah, the biggest thing though is a shift in perception, and you may even start to actually see things differently. I went to meet with a friend of mine who I thought I knew super well, and I always admired this person and thought that he was like this really astute businessman, really powerful. And I saw him as like larger than life. He had a multi-million-dollar company. And I went to see him and I was like, wow, you're really afraid. And like he even looked physically small and like kind of like Schmeagol from Lord of the Rings. Like he was like almost shriveled up. And I saw a truth that I just was not aware of before. So if those kinds of things are happening, that's an awesome sign that this center is awakening. And it's a huge benefit because it's a guide in your life. You'll know it, what the path is for you. Your abilities of concentration and cognition, being able to actually understand and think clearer. You'll be more present. You'll be able to use your imagination and be more creative. Definitely improves your ability to do things like paint and draw and anything that's visual. Intuition is huge, and we're going to get there in a minute. But my favorite thing, like the reason that I want to keep this center clear and open, is because it moves me from duality thinking to unity consciousness, which is the most important thing for me. I don't want to live in this good, bad, right, wrong world anymore. It just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't feel like it's the highest that I can achieve. And I feel that way for other people, which is why I do what I do. So that's super awesome. Spiritual sight. And this is really cool. This is where some new age stuff starts to happen. People talk about seeing spirit guides, being able even to hear spirit guides, because this is where the sixth senses, like those extrasensory perception, kicks in, and you start to hear guidance, you start to see guidance, you start to know things, and you may even see things like angels and guides from other dimensions. They're there all the time. Like they're always around you. You just don't see them because you are blind in your spiritual eye. And that's not like a put down to anyone. It's just that for most people, it's not the priority. Most people like, let's pay the bills and let's get the kids to school, and that's life. But there's so much more. There's so much more. And these spiritual leaders, Jesus, Buddha, I can't even think of anyone, Krishna, I guess, they all knew this, and they wanted so badly to like bring it to the world. Like, you are incredibly powerful, and you are, and you start to see this in other people when you start to wake this up. You'll know your purpose. We already talked about this. Wisdom, suddenly you're like the person that everyone comes to for advice. And it's so funny because on the one hand, you start to open your third eye and people look at you a little strange when you talk because they don't quite get it. They're not on the same wavelength of like knowing this non-dual world that's possible for us. So they may not understand you, but then you're the person they go to for advice. So it's an interesting kind of dichotomy that you're like the wise loner that people call and ask what they should do in their relationship, or what does this dream mean, or can you pull a card for me, or whatever it is. So if you're getting a lot of that, that's also a sign it is opening up. Have you become a pioneer and a way shower? So like Jesus, what ends up happening is you start to care less and less about the people who don't understand, and your kind of mission becomes leading or kind of showing the way through the way that you live to the people who get it. That's what becomes important. And that's not to say that everyone here is going to become a spiritual leader. It could be through your art, through teaching kindergarten, through, I don't know, whatever it is that you do. Even if you're like a maintenance person, like you'll do it with a different energy. So it's not to say that everybody who opens these centers and is living spiritual life, that they have to do spiritual work. It's that they bring spirit to whatever work they're doing. So it's just a different way to live. And on the flip side, people may not understand you. And if they're not understanding you, if it seems like you've had maybe some experiences of pressure here, or you saw a vision, or you've been focusing a lot on your third eye to open it, and suddenly when you're talking to people, you just notice that, oh, they don't get it. It might even feel a little lonely. That's a good sign. And what I've noticed on my own journey and for other people that I speak to is the friends change, the people change in your life, and you'll start to attract different people into your life. I've met you guys and I started this spiritual community, and honestly, friends that I've had in the past for my whole life are no longer friends anymore. They don't serve my highest good, which means for sure that I'm not serving their highest good either. And that for whatever reason, we both need to go our separate ways to grow. So that can definitely happen and probably will. You'll see truth and it won't be convenient. So this is kind of a big one, because everybody thinks that opening the third eye is this magical, mystical thing. And I know that I definitely did. It was definitely like a mission for me and something that I felt was really important to do. But one of the things that happens is the truths that you were living in before that were keeping you comfortable and safe, suddenly you can't tolerate living that way anymore. So the boyfriend that you've had for 20 years, suddenly you can understand that they're not right for me. The job becomes intolerable. And that is definitely the other thing that I've noticed for people who are going through this, is it's not like, oh, my job sucks, but I'll keep going until I retire in 10 years. It's like, nope, can't even go tomorrow. I'm quitting today. And life just changes overnight. And some of it is super dramatic, where people will really look at you, especially the people who care about you, like, are you crazy? And you just know it. You just know, and you follow it because you almost don't have a choice. So that can happen. And you raise your standards. You raise your standards to the point where nothing less than the best has any appeal for you. It becomes this, like this obviousness of, I deserve better and I'm not going to settle for this anymore. And you just don't tolerate any less than the best for yourself, the best that you know other people deserve. And you want to bring your best to the world as well. So if you're noticing that those kinds of shifts are happening in your life, it's very likely that you're already starting on this path, and it can be really, really, really super challenging, which is why we have this community. It's why, you know, there's information on like the warnings about third eye opening and spiritual awakening. And it's true. It's true. It's very challenging to do it alone. And it's very challenging in your life. It'll bring stuff up. It'll force you to look at your shadows and all of the ways that you've been a jerk. And people will experience dark nights of the soul where they'll realize, oh, I'm the one who destroyed my whole life. I'm the one who's the jerk, who's responsible for none of my relationships working out. That's all so beautiful, because once you can take responsibility for that, you can change all of it. So you start to take your power back. So now, before we get to all of the awesome ways that we can actually open this center, I would love to take questions. I saw that Pam asked something, so I'm going to ask that first. Can you see other people's spirit guides and angels? Absolutely, Pam. Yeah, 100%. And just as like a thing for you to consider, in my opinion, and everybody has, you know, a different feeling on this, I actually do not feel that spirit guides and angels are something out there that we look to for advice. I feel like they're actual parts of us, and that they're one with us, just like everything else. And they're always accessible. So I kind of look at them as like pieces of me that I have access to when I'm open to it and when I'm in those higher vibrational states. So you are one with everyone and everything. And when you want to be open to seeing other people's spirit guides and their angels and stuff, yeah, absolutely, you can do that. And it's as simple as asking. Like, I really don't think it's much more than that. It's as simple as asking, and then keeping your vibration really, really, really high so that you can be available for those like higher dimensional beings to make themselves known to you. I hope that makes sense. And we're going to talk about how to raise the vibration, especially in the third eye. Yeah, Lynn. It's we put so much outside of ourselves, and we place power and guidance and knowledge outside of ourselves. But I just don't believe any of that is true. I think we are the universe, where everything around us, it's all within us. So therefore, the spirit guides, the angels, they're all in us. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ways of opening this center, but I really want to answer any questions that you guys have so far before we go there. Yeah,
Can I ask you, Ree?
Sure.
Is this a new thing for you to think? I mean, are you evolving to where now you're just now thinking that, oh, wait a second, they're not out everywhere. They're right here within us. Is this something new to you?
Yes, Nancy, you know me so well. Yeah, this is something pretty new to me, even just within the last 3 weeks. I was doing my walking meditation, which you guys who know me know it's been life transformative. And I think everyone should do walking meditations. They're incredible. And I was doing my walking meditation, and I was like, oh, I'm divine, everyone else is divine, and everything that I've ever thought was outside of me is actually in me right now. And it was this absolutely incredible feeling, like the whole crying thing was going on. And I was like, these trees, they're all in me, you know, that whole totally spiritual, wonderful ecstasy. And yeah, I do feel that. And now, like, even when I see people who are doing horrible things, I think that they are the ones who are in the most need of love, and they just don't know how to ask. And I've always kind of separated myself from those people and thought, like, aren't I awesome that I know, I just know better than that. And I would never do these terrible things. But I feel like it just feels different now. It feels like if only they knew how to ask for what they need. And there's something there that is missing, that, you know, we can have compassion. I don't know. It's a totally different way to feel and to live. And that's sort of the energy of that third eye. And I've been having a lot of these experiences. So of course I have to make a retreat and a webinar around it. So yeah, it's
Right
new.
on.
It's fairly new. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's amazing. You've been doing this for so long, and you keep having these epiphanies of, wait a second, you know, somebody like me who is really new to getting all this is doing that a lot. But to see that you're still learning is just really cool to know.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's almost daily. And it's crazy too, because I don't think it's actually like slowed down at all. I think just the opposite. It's sped up, where it feels now like there's a lot of times when throughout the day when I'm like, oh my God, I had it all wrong. I had no idea it was that way. All this information coming in. And I just, my feeling about that is that it's all around us. Like, consciousness is who we are, and we just have bodies that are animated by consciousness, but it's all around us. And when we make ourselves clear channels, we're available for it, and it can just come in. So the goal is not like learn more, attain more knowledge. For me anyway, for me it's not. For me it's, I want to clear these channels. I want to be as clear as I possibly can, so information can just come in. And I think that's why it becomes like something that not a lot of people get, because it's not information that you'll find online or in books. It's information that sometimes, and I'm sure you guys have experienced that, for instances like this, where you can't even put it into words. It's an experience, it's an understanding and a wisdom, and you're like, oh, I can't even translate this into something anyone else will understand. That's awesome. That's when you're just going to embody it and live it. And yeah, and the other thing that's wonderful, and also I guess for some people might suck about third eye awakening, is that once you see, you can't not see. Now you know that the guy you've been with forever is not the right guy. You can't not know that. Even if you choose to turn a blind eye, you still know somewhere in you. And living those mistruths and deluding ourselves, I think that's actually where disease comes from. I think that is the problem. I know I talk to you guys all the time about low vibration versus high vibration. And I feel that high vibration is authenticity. If you're feeling sad, you're feeling sad. And that is, it's so much better to just let it be felt and let it pass than to try and cover it up and pretend that you're super, high vibe and joyful when you're not. It's just not helpful. So yes, Lynn asks, but you still have ups and downs. Life still goes on. It's where we go with it. Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's the whole thing. Joe Dispenza, who you know that I love, he says it's not about like not feeling sad. It's about not getting stuck there. Like, you may have ups and downs all day. It's not getting stuck in the stories, not getting stuck in the pattern of being sad and letting it keep you. Yeah. Yes, of course you are, Lynn. Of course you are. That's what we do. I want to have a channeler on. I'm trying to look for one. So if there are no more questions, I'm going to get to the 7 ways. And I didn't even realize, it's so funny that there are 7 different ways. I didn't realize until just now that that's how many I have written down. The first one, and you guys are totally going to be skeptical, but sun gazing. Has anyone heard of this before? Yes, yes. Okay, so sun gazing is amazing, absolutely amazing. It's a really practical way of opening the third eye because the pineal gland, which is the same as the third eye, is totally sensitive to light. And when you shower your third eye with light, oh, there are 7 of us here. Oh, how funny, Lynn. When you shower this center with light, it automatically opens up. It's important to do this, though. You want to stare at the sun, and believe it or not, you can, but it should be right as the sun is rising or just as the sun is setting. Those are the golden times. So you don't obviously want to stare at the broiling bright sun in the middle of the sky. About 10 minutes as it's rising, and then 10 minutes before it sets. So it's just a little tiny window. And what's awesome about waking up and doing it is that is actually the time when the pineal gland is the most active and when we are in those super slow brain waves. So wake up and just sit silently, stare at the sun. I was so skeptical about this, and then I did it and I started seeing bright lights and I started having a lot of experiences. So even if you're not into meditation, that can be something that works really, really well. And actually another thing that I forgot to put on here, and I was just reminded, is to interrupt your sleep cycles and get up to meditate. So the brain waves that I was just talking about that are really slow, those theta and delta brain waves that are really like take us into our subconscious mind, and they're where that third eye opens. Those are most active at around, depending on what time you go to sleep, but around 3 to 4 o'clock a.m., which is why if you're waking up every day at like 3:30 a.m., 3:45, 4 o'clock a.m., and you don't know why, that's why. Because you're being prompted to do spiritual work, to wake up, to meditate. So don't let that time be wasted. If you find yourself naturally waking up, spend that time just sitting up, maybe even for just 15 minutes and just breathing in and out through this space. It can be as simple as that, but take advantage of that time or set an alarm and have that be your meditation time. I was doing that for like a year, and honestly, I was so completely exhausted that I had to stop. I was like, okay, this is actually ruining my life, so I'm just gonna not do it anymore. But if you can do it, it's a great thing to do. Detox your pineal gland. I could do a whole webinar on just this. Like I was saying before, we are just inundated with all kinds of toxins and heavy metals that, and I don't mean to like put fear in anyone, but it's just true. We have that in our world. And one of those heavy metals, one of those toxic chemicals is fluoride. And fluoride attaches itself. It just, for some reason, magnetizes to the pineal gland. So one of the things that you can do is you can start drinking water that doesn't have fluoride, and maybe even cooking your vegetables or your pasta or whatever in water that doesn't have fluoride. And on that same note of like diet, fruits and vegetables are awesome, especially like citrusy stuff, anything that's cleansing. Greens are awesome. Pasta is tough. Pasta and like gluten products, they have a lot of heavy metals. And actually, I'm so disappointed in this, and I hate to bring this up even because it's one of my favorite foods in the world. Chocolate has heavy metals. I know. I'm like, no, I'm not going to listen to that either, but it does. So if you're that into it, I mean, I still eat chocolate all the time because I ain't giving that up. But if you want to detox it, just focus on the really getting rid of those heavy metals, especially fluoride. Pam asks, yes, diet and detox would absolutely be awesome to talk about on the retreat. We're going to have a lot more lectures in this retreat, which I'm actually really excited about, because you guys know, if you've been on other retreats, it's a lot of intense meditation. So like, maybe we need to break this up a little bit because it can be very intense. So meditation, obviously, honestly, it's really difficult to open the third eye and the crown chakra without meditation. The other centers can be opened through body movements and breathing, but the third eye is one that really, it almost requires that you spend some time in meditation and stillness. And what I'll say about it is, if you're new to it, which I'm assuming you guys all have done plenty of meditation if you're here, but if it's something that you end up getting really restless and you can't sit still, one of the best meditations that I've found for third eye is to play like 10 minutes of trance type music and just breathe here. That's it. Just focus your breathing, and to bring your awareness and to kind of locate this center, just touch it with your finger and then just breathe in and out through this center and play some nice trance music, and that will really open the third eye. So it can be as simple as that. And then of course, you can go for hours. And yeah, tapping. I know someone who does tapping, and definitely I would love to have her come to one of the retreats too. But tapping is awesome. Yeah. And you can literally just tap there or massage it. Meditation is awesome. So breath work. I can't say enough about breath work. I actually became certified in yoga more for the breath work than anything else, because I discovered through having to do it myself how incredibly transformative it is. I'm a sharpshooter. I've been shooting competitively, or I used to shoot competitively from the time I was like 9 years old. And one of the things that is really important is the breath. You need to be able to steady your breath. And I started getting into yoga and meditation pretty heavily while I was shooting. And I noticed that I was getting these really deep states while I was shooting, like almost trance-like, like I wasn't even shooting anymore. Like I was totally one with everything. It was incredible. And I realized that it was the breath. So I just totally became obsessed with breathing. And the different breaths that you can use, I mean, there's so many for the third eye, but the ones that I like the best, and they're on YouTube, you can look them up. I love Breath of Fire. I think the Breath of Fire, or actually, you know what? I can't even think of the yogic name for it right now, but the Breath of Fire is amazing. Definitely look it up. Actually, we can do a breathwork practice. So the Breath of Fire, if you guys have been to my retreats, you probably know this one, but essentially it is kind of like powerful sniffing. Like if you think of a dog that is sniffing something and he's really excited, that's what you're going for. And it's pumping the breath in and out really quickly. So you always start with an exhale in yoga, or I shouldn't say always, most of the time, the breath work starts with an exhale. But for this one, we exhale all the way and we inhale to come halfway, like we fill our lungs halfway. And then the exhale is sharp and powerful through the nose. And then you just allow the inhale to happen. While you are exhaling, you are bringing the navel back toward the spine. So you're contracting your abdomen and you're forcing the air out, like you're blowing out a candle with your nose, and then you're letting the air just inflate. And then you want to speed it up. So eventually it will look like you're powerfully sniffing in and out. As equal as you can, because what can happen if you're not equal with the in and out breath is you can either hyperventilate and get really dizzy, or you can like exhale too much and then you just can't breathe. So it's got to be equal in and out. And that whole time you're focused on your third eye. If you do that for 2 or 3 minutes, stopping whenever you feel like you can't do it anymore, which is totally natural. Most people will probably struggle with going through the whole 3 minutes. But if you can get through 3 minutes and then you stop and you just focus on the stillness is like nothing you've ever felt before, because you were just so intensely breathing and there's so much energy being built up. The breath is spirit, the breath is prana and life force. You're getting that all worked up, and then all of a sudden you just stop and you just focus on that third eye, and it's like there is silence in every cell. It's pretty remarkable. So I love the breath of fire. The ocean breath is the other one. And actually, if you guys are down, we can do the ocean breath right now. That's a simple one that I think you guys will find really, really cool. This is a very calming breath. The breath of fire, if you're feeling like you have no energy and you need a cup of coffee, but it's a little too late to have caffeine, take some time and do that breath and it will wake you up, because it engages the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight, the adrenaline, that movement nervous system. So it actually scientifically gets you where you're more awake. But this one does just the opposite. This calms the nervous system. And essentially all that it is you are going to fog up a mirror with your nose. So you're making that sound, like if you fog up a mirror with your mouth, that noise, if you're fogging it up with your nose, it's the same noise and the same like slight constriction in the throat, and you're just breathing out slowly and with control. The tricky part is then we want to inhale with that same constriction, that same sound. So we're making the same sound on the inhale, constricting the throat just a little bit. And then we smooth that breath out. So it sounds like the waves of the ocean, which is why they call it the ocean breath. And you're not leaving a lot of space between the inhale and the exhale. You're really smoothing out that breath and just allowing yourself to kind of wave like the ocean. And while we do this, does anybody have any question about that breath before we move on? So while we do this, I just want us to focus on that third eye completely. And actually, I don't even want you to focus here on this center, like on your forehead. I want you to, between your eyebrows, go up about 3/4 of an inch and then back toward the center of your brain. That's where I want us to focus. That's actually the pineal gland. That's where it's located. So it's about the size of a grain of rice. So we're not going to like maybe feel exactly into it, but we're going to get generally into that space. So just close your eyes and just settle your body completely. Let your whole body relax. Be here right now. And I'm going to mute you guys just so I can't hear anybody. And we're going to breathe in. And as we do, constrict the throat and draw the breath back into the center of your brain. With that noise. And let your breath be slow and controlled. So really slow down your breathing. And now on the inhale, imagine that you're drawing in light into the center of your brain. From the forehead, and just bring the light back to the center of the brain. And then as you exhale, on the exhales, expand. Expand that light beyond your head. So we're inhaling light And exhaling, expanding that light 360 degrees around your head, so all the way around. And just really feel into the center of your brain, drawing in light and expanding. Let the sound of those ocean waves draw you deeper into this center. Perfect. And now, just for fun, we're going to go right into breath of fire for anyone who wants to do that with me. Take a couple of deep breaths, just normal. Big inhale, exhale halfway, and begin. Focusing on the third eye the whole time. Deep breath. And then exhale all the way. Let the breath out. And just feel that stillness. Still breathing in the third eye space. And big inhale. And full and complete exhale. Really let it all out. Yes. Yes, that is my favorite. Actually, those two in combination are my absolute favorite. So that's the breath work. There are about 10,000. Yeah, exactly. The vibration, that's a very real thing, Pam. And you can do it through the breath work. And actually, I was just about to get to the second way that you can do that, through chanting. So the third eye chant, the seed sound they call it, is Aum. Kind of sounds like Om. So some people say it is Om, and that's going to work. If you chant Om into your third eye, it's just as good as chanting Aum. Like, they're pretty much the same. And the vibration is what you want to focus on. And in particular, a way that you can do this, and please ask me to explain further if I don't get into too much detail, because I don't want to spend too much time here, but essentially you can breathe up the central channel. So starting at your root center, really focus there. Let your exhale be full into that space, and then draw that up, draw the breath up, draw the energy up the spine, and move past your throat. And let the energy raise up, lift up your chin just a little, come all the way to the third eye, and then lower the chin. Om. Or some people breathe that air up and they do the O part as they lift. Oh, and then the M part as they push the chin down. Do that for 30 seconds and euphoria. That's just shifts everything, really brings you into this state of no mind kind of thing, like really silent. So that's another favorite of mine. You can chant any chant and focus on this center, and you'll really start to move things. You'll start to move the energy in that center. So the sixth thing that I have here is keep a dream journal and do dream work. And this is a big one because that pineal gland, that's what it does. It secretes melatonin and DMT. And that's when our third eye is really awake, when we're dreaming. So there are a couple of things that you can do during your dreams, or I guess to help you to have dreams. And one of those is just simply get a dream journal. It is crazy how just having a journal with a pencil next to your bed with the intention of dreaming can really just make you dream. You may not even need anything more than that. Get the journal, put it next to your bed with a pen, and just have the intention before you go to sleep. I'm going to remember my dreams. And this will open up that third eye, and you will remember snippets. Maybe not on the first night. If you're not a dreamer, it may take a couple of times. If you're a dreamer, then you've got this. And then the advice that a lot of people give is to immediately, when you get up, give the dream a title to kind of capture the essence of the dream and the mood of the dream, and write down any feelings, anything specific that you remember. And that can be enough. But if you want to get even deeper into this, I will share a lucid dreaming technique that is super, super simple. And oh my God, I met Oprah, like I met wizards and all kinds of things. And I fly. Every time when I have a lucid dream, it's like a thing. And you can create lucid dreams. You can make them happen. And the way that I've done it that's been the most successful is to sleep for about 5 hours and then wake up. So set an alarm for 5 hours after you fall asleep. And what you're doing here is you're interrupting a sleep cycle. So you're probably dreaming, you wake up, stay awake for a half hour to 40 minutes, and that would complete a sleep cycle. So you're interrupting the sleep cycle. Stay up for that half hour, sit up in bed, because I promise you, if you lay down, you're almost guaranteed to fall back to sleep. So sit up and focus on the third eye and just say to yourself, I'm going to have a lucid dream, like really intend it, and then lay back down and go to sleep. That's it. It's as simple as that. It's unbelievable. If you don't have an actual lucid dream, you will have a very vivid dream. Like I would bet money. So any dream work, though, is great to do. The other thing that I didn't write down, but I do it all the time, is practice seeing through this center. Like if you could see with this one eye, just what would that feel like? And let it be in your imagination first, and then you'll start to actually experience what it's like to see through that third eye. I also didn't write down a super, super practical way of engaging this space. And that is simply seeing things from other people's perspective. The next time that you feel like they're wrong, or why did they do that? Just switch it around and just see things as if you are them. Like, you know that from their perspective, they're right. So instead of assuming that they're wrong, think, okay, they're right. How are they right? And that is what the third eye does. It gives us the ability to see from different perspectives. So just like doing that yourself helps that eye to open up. Pam asks, let's see, what did you ask me? What is the purpose of lucid dreaming? Can you use it to manifest? Well, first of all, it's so much fun. Bam, you can fly, you can breathe underwater, you can do all kinds of things. But people have developed ways of learning, of getting information. I mean, you are in that sort of super conscious / subconscious state where you have access to all information. So you can go, one of the things that I did was, for a while, I was going to see a psychic and she would tell me information. And I have had this one crazy experience. I had just had my daughter, who is now 18. And I went to see this psychic in a lucid dream. And she said, you will have a third child. It'll be a boy, but he'll die at 3 years old. And I was like, oh my God, like, obviously nobody wants that. So I got pregnant when my daughter was 4 and I found out it's a boy. So now I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna die. I was totally convinced. And I actually like developed some kind of attachment disorder to him. Like I really couldn't even let him out of my sight. He did not die at 3. He's still very much alive. He's 15, but he was diagnosed with autism when he was 3. And it felt like a death. I literally felt like I mourned. I was so sad. And even now, like I get emotional thinking about that time because I felt like for some reason, even though he was the same kid, the boy I knew had died. So you can get a lot of accurate information. You can talk to anybody. I talk to spiritual masters and yes, Nancy, I can.
So when you're sitting there for that half hour, 40 minutes, you are choosing what you want to dream about. Is that what you're saying? So,
you are choosing to be aware that you're dreaming so you can control your dream.
So you set your alarm, you wake up, and then you're sitting there and you're just focusing on the third eye and just saying you're going to have a lucid dream. Do you say I'm going to have a lucid dream about a psychic, or do you just say I'm going to have a lucid dream?
Oh, yeah. So I used to say, I'm going to have a lucid dream and I'm going to meet a psychic or a wise woman who's going to tell me whatever it is that I need to know.
Oh, okay.
What happened for me was it took a couple of times. Like at first I did have the lucid dream, but I was just like moving around my house and doing stupid things that didn't matter, but I was lucid. And then the next time I was able to fly. And then like, it just kept progressing until I started to meet these sages. And for some weird reason, I met Oprah. That I didn't ask for that, but that's who came up when I said a wise woman. So, yeah, it kind of progressively, you get better at it. Yeah. And it's awesome. You get a lot of good information and things you don't have access to in your ordinary everyday waking life. And you awaken the third eye. Another thing that I didn't write down here is to play the psychic game. And this is hugely engaging. I don't know why I didn't write it down. To literally pretend you're psychic and predict things. So today I'm predicting that Sarah's going to call me. Today I'm predicting that my son is going to meet a girl or whatever it is, and just write down like 2 or 3 predictions. Whether they happen or not is not the point. The point is to engage in this play and to allow the third eye to communicate with you, allow 5th dimensional beings, whatever it is, you're allowing them to have access to you by being playful, because spirit is playful and it wants to communicate with you. So if you just have this attitude of, I'm just going to have fun with this, this is an amazing game to play. And honestly, as much as like, well, I mean, I love tarot, but I also kind of feel like it can be disempowering for some people. Tarot cards, astrology, all of those kinds of ways of fortune telling and stuff. If you're using them in empowering ways, they definitely can engage this space. And by empowering, I mean, don't let them be the thing that determines whether or not you feel good. You don't want to put your power in anything, but playing with them is fun. And there's this great book, if you do decide to get into tarot, there's an awesome book called Tarot Games. And it's for this purpose of playing with tarot cards. to really get into that third eye, to learn the cards, and to just let it be fun instead of making it like a serious thing that's going to determine your life, because that is not what we want to get into. We don't want to disempower ourselves. And the 7th, or at this point, probably like the 13th, but most important thing to do to open the third eye is to raise the vibration of this center. This is like the simplest thing ever. All that you do to, actually, we can do it right now. Let's do it. If you guys want to participate in this, that'd be awesome. You could even do this if you're like painting or drawing or doing whatever. You don't have to stop what you're doing, but you can if you want to get deeper into it. If you want to get deeper into it, you can close your eyes and come to that space in the center of your brain, a couple of inches back, and just start to breathe there. Slow down your breathing and just feel the breath kind of flow from the forehead back into that center. And to raise your vibration, this is super simple. First of all, smile in that center. Feel as if the third eye is smiling. And then let's raise that vibrational frequency up even higher. Feel super grateful for everything, for all of life in this center. So as you are breathing and focusing all of your attention on that third eye space, just feel a deep love for life itself. Yes, perfect. And now to spiral it up as high as I know to go right now. Feel perfection, wholeness, purity in this center. Absolute truth. And breathe that in. That's some powerful stuff. And then what I like to do, because I don't know how high the frequencies go, I might just ask, okay, spiral me up even higher than this. What's higher than perfection and wholeness? Perfect. And if you feel at this point, this would be the point, like if I were really working on this center, this is when I would start to chant that Om and let the vibrations just kind of shake that center up. So you're already there. You're already feeling that center. And you don't even need to chant it out loud if you're in a place where you can't do that. Om is a call to the all-powerful universe, basically, to be in you. Deep breath in and exhale all the way. So relaxing, so relaxing. So that's what I got for you guys. That is pretty much it. And if you're coming to the retreat, we're going to be doing kind of everything around this. We're going to be doing chanting and deep meditation work and a lot of breath work and some, maybe even some yoga, although if you can't move much, the yoga that I do is not I mean, I do traditional yoga where I'm like on my mat, but I do yoga that's like in a chair, like we're just moving our arms and our head. So the next retreat dates, wow, I was like, wait, when are they? So it's a 4-day retreat it's the 18th, 19th, 20th, and the 21st, and they're full days. They're full days from 9 to like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, depending on like how we do, if there are questions, like you never know what's going to happen in these things. And they're pretty intense, although if you came to the last retreat, the way we did it last time actually worked out really well, and I really liked the flow. There were breaks between every meditation. We, got up and moved because it can be very intense. So we will be talking, we'll be doing walking meditations, we'll do a little bit of yoga. And by the end of it, you'll be crying and all of those good things. Actually, maybe not quite as much though as the heart opening retreat that I'm planning on doing in July, sneak peek on that one. So any questions that you guys have for me? Yay, crying, James, you know it. James has been on that path. And yeah, once that crying starts, there's no turning back. Your heart is opening. It's happening. You can't even stop it at that point. And with the third eye, I would say that once you start to not be able to tolerate the bullshit, that's when you know that it's opening and there's no stopping it at that point. Like, oh, okay, these changes are just going to happen. And it's almost like you're not even involved. It's pretty awesome. So if nobody has any questions, that's what I have for you guys. If you haven't received the third eye hypnosis meditation, I would love to send that to you. Like, it's just free. You're very welcome, Lynn. Yeah, definitely reach out to me, email me, and you're very welcome, Pam. rhi1122@icloud.com, or message me on Facebook. However, I found you or you found me. Reach out and I'll send you that hypnosis. It's a long one, but it's so worth it. Like, it really is engaging and will help to open up that space. I think it's like 37 minutes or something. So yeah.
You send it to me?
I
Was
will
that the
definitely.
one did we
Oh,
do that at full moon?
yes. Yeah, and you do have it, and probably a few people here have it, but if you don't, reach out to me and I'd love to share that with you. Yeah.
Okay. That is the one we did at the full moon. Is it?
No, the one on the full moon, definitely reach out for me on that one too. That is, I haven't even created that one yet. I'm actually going into the studio this weekend. That is higher self hypnosis.
Higher self, okay.
Higher self hypnosis. And that one will be much shorter. I'm going to try to keep it to like 15, 20 minutes, if at all possible, although I do get carried away. But reach out and I'll send you both.
Okay, and the third eye is hypnosis, right?
Yes, it's hypnosis. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. You are welcome, guys. Yeah, that's it. And off for sunset cruise on the quad tonight. You have a great time, Lynn. You have an
Deserve
awesome.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I hope you guys have fun opening up your third eye, opening up the other chakras. If you have any questions, please reach out. I'm here. This video will be up on YouTube probably sometime next week. I have no idea. I'm trying. But I have so many things going on. But I will be putting it up, so it'll be here for you. It's Margaret's birthday. Happy birthday, Margaret. She's not here, but happy birthday. Yes, have a great night, everyone. I'll see you on Monday for the people in the community. Bye. Bye. Good night. Good night.